I'm really excited about this conversation. Now, you alluded to in your presentation the third wave of digital advertising and the telescoping nature in which it's accelerating. It's just beginning, right? It's going to be over $40 billion this year on its way to a $100 billion market in the US by 2027. So it's only going to further accelerate. And that's why I'm very excited to welcome Sarah Travis. Sarah, thank you for joining us today.
Oh my gosh, thank you for having me. Super excited to be here.
Yeah, well, so you've been at the helm at Roundel since mid-2021, obviously during a really exciting time and period of explosive growth for retail media. I'm curious to understand more about what excited you about the opportunity with Roundel and maybe what surprised you the most about this vibrant world of retail media since you embarked on this role.
For sure, yeah. So I started, you're right. It's been about 2 years since I came over to Target, and it's honestly just been such a joy and pleasure to be able to take the media experience that I gained throughout my career and be able to take that and apply it into a retailer where, just a retailer I have admired both as a guest and just a student of business and brands for, decades. And so that alone, just like career opportunity of a lifetime. So it's been amazing. I think what I'm most excited about is thinking about how we continue to unlock all of that magic that is Target into our media offerings. And so that starts with, the relationship that we have with our guest. I think we've got a relationship that is different and really special. So it's that relationship and our values as an organization, our culture of care and connection and curation and creativity, and bringing all of those elements to life, but really doing that at scale. So we are well over $1 billion business today. We're working with thousands of advertisers. We continue to grow at a rapid pace, but I like to say that I really do believe that we're just getting started in retail media and in Roundel specifically. So your question about what surprises me, I think, so I came over to Target after a pretty long career at Google, and I was able to get lots of exposure to retailers and retail media networks when I was there. But I think what I learned coming in is I had very much like a tunnel vision around what my teams and my company's offerings could look like for a retail media network. And now being in this seat, I understand the complexity. There's a lot of complexity in our world of retail media. And I've applied that lens, of course, how I operate in my role leading the team, but also how I think about connecting with brands because they're managing through the same complexity that we are.
Complexity and opportunity, because we're really just scratching the surface of its potential across all of these touch points. Now, I recently worked on some research that was kind of a big research effort this year, our CPG Retail Media Network Benchmark Report that we published in September. We analyzed 14 different RMNs that served CPG brands across 13 different attributes of performance. Roundel did really well, ranking number 3 overall in this report. So I'm curious to understand more from your perspective. What do you think Roundel is particularly delivering that's unique for brands?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I would start with really thinking about the foundation of our business. I mean, you've done a ton of research in this space. Starting a media company and a retailer is not an easy thing to do. We've got history, right? We've been in this space for about 15 years now. And I think that foundation of tools, technology, people, understanding of the space is the right foundation. We operate at scale. We've got 165 million guests that brands can connect with via Roundel. And one of the things that I think has been really special, and I was lucky to be able to walk into it, is a lot of retailers are just now starting to think about, okay, I've got sponsored products on my site. How do I expand to have a more breadth and offerings for brands to be able to connect with guests across their journey? The Roundel's been really thinking about that from day one, right? How do we think about reaching somebody, further up in the funnel as they're discovering new brands or a new category, all the way to when they're making a purchase. So I think that foundation is important, but I would say even more important than that is how we think about bringing and continue to think about bringing all of the magic that is Target to life in our offering. And I'll start where I started when you asked me the original question. It starts with the connection that we have with our guests. We welcome about 50 million guests into our digital platforms every week, 30 million into our stores. And for anybody that shops at Target, I think that the connection that we have is really special and unique. One of the things that's been coolest to me coming into this role is the stories that I hear from people about, their experiences with Target, how they feel seen in our stores, the sense of joy and discovery. And we take that very seriously, right? That relationship. And so we take a different lens with how we think about connecting with guests, and we really take a lens of curation. And I think that lens of curation results in better results for the brands that we're working with. How we're organized is different. I sit on the guest experience team. My leader is the chief guest experience officer. I sit around the table with a leader that oversees loyalty, digital marketing, tech, and we sit together at the table thinking about how we bring that guest experience to life. And that matters, right? It matters in the solutions that we put to market and the results that we deliver to brands. And then it's our assets. So it's our values as a company, our organization, and the assets that we have in our digital platform, our stores, our same-day services, and then our Circle program, which I think is, really central to everything that we do in Roundel.
Now, we talked about the pace of change in these markets, and certainly Roundel has picked up the pace in innovation. You've just unveiled a slew of new product innovations. Can you walk us through a couple of the key ones?
Sure. Maybe I'm going to give you like the very high level. And then if you want to go into any specifics, I'm happy to go into specifics. So the first one would be, I'll start here because I'll start with curation as one of our core values is we continue to expand on our programmatic by Roundel product, which is our programmatic offering that allows brands to access our inventory and audiences on the DSP of their choice. We just added a ton of new hand-curated inventory into that offering. The second one is we're thinking about CTV. We know that's an important, really important tool for brands to be able to reach our guests and reach shoppers. We've been in this space and we're continuing to evolve what our approach looks like here. We just launched a really awesome new shoppable format that makes it easier for guests to be able to buy directly from ads. And then last but not least, honestly, probably the thing that I'm most excited that we're working on is we are piloting our self-service buying solution. It's called Roundel Media Studio. We just started piloting it over the course of the past few months with a handful of brands. You can think of this as like the one-stop shop to access all of Roundel's tools and services and solutions. We're starting with Target product ads. That is our sponsored product solution, but we have plans to expand to other formats and inventory throughout the course of next year. I'm excited about this because, again, experience is really central to how Target thinks, and this is going to give us the opportunity to own even more of the brand experience. And it's also going to give smaller brands access to our media and our solutions, which I think is really important from a guest perspective, because it's going to allow them to be able to explore and discover brands that they might not have been able to discover without us. So we're really excited about that. Again, pilot phase, lots more in store as we head into 2024 on that front.
So one of the themes in a lot of what you mentioned there is this move up the funnel. We're going to come back and talk about that in a moment, but I want to talk a little bit about the foundations of retail media and retail media networks. I always look at it as, really high quality first party data that's used for audience targeting and closed loop measurement. Your foundation, or a big part of that, I would say, is the Target Circle loyalty program, which has over 100 million members today. And I think Target's somewhat unique, maybe among a very select few retailers that actually has the depth of both online and in-store purchase behavior, cross-category purchasing, and then, the high frequency behavior of buying in grocery and CPG, all tied to this massive loyalty program. Can you talk a bit more about Target's first party data and how you're using it for, targeting and closed loop measurement?
Yeah, for sure. So, I think you honestly, you hit some of the really key points, right? It starts with the scale that we have. So we've got 165 million guests overall that can be reached via Roundel, but 100 million of those are our Target Circle members. We've got depth and really understand what matters to guests across categories. And I think, the combination of the scale of that loyalty program plus the depth of understanding across categories is something that's really, really unique. I think when you talk about the Circle program specifically, we kind of think about it as the hub of the personalization flywheel for Target. And it's frankly a really important element of our future as a retailer, but also as a media business. And so you've got scale, but then you've got a lot of value in the guests that are part of the program. So on average, a Circle member spends 3 times as much as a non-Circle member. And so for a brand to be able to reach that guest, it's a highly valuable guest. But I would also argue that it's not just about reaching them, it's about reaching them with the right message. And guests and shoppers want promo. They want promos, they want deals. We did some research this year and found that of our guests, over 80% of them would prefer to see a promo or a deal in their messaging from an advertising perspective. So we're really leaning into that. If you just take the Circle Week that we just had a few weeks ago, we did some testing for brands, and for brands that had a promo or did a Circle Week promo, it performs better for them too, right? So we saw that on average, a brand that had a promo, a Circle promo, that ad performed from a ROAS perspective 150 times better than a brand that did not have a promo throughout the year. So we saw 150% increase in the return on ad spend, which is incredible. And then closed loop measurement. So that's important too. Obviously, the data that we have is really important from an audience targeting perspective. It's really important to deliver personalization. It's also really important to be able to measure what is leading to purchase behavior. And one of the things that's really unique about us is, if you look at us as a retailer, we actually, like, the vast majority of our transactions are actually happening via credit card or the app. But because we have a program that's of such scale, and because guests are coming in and providing their credentials when they check out, even for cash transactions, we have a good share of fidelity in terms of whether or not that's leading to a purchase behavior as well. And so overall, we're able to have visibility into well over 90% of transactions that are happening, which obviously provides a lot of fidelity in terms of our closed loop measurement.
Yeah, and that's huge. It's not just the online purchases, but closing the loop with offline, where so much of purchase activity still happens. I want to shift to offsite media, those formats up the funnel. So display, video, streaming TV. In the CPG retail media benchmark that I referred to earlier, you ranked number 2 in offsite targeting. I'm curious, what are you doing differently that brands seem to be picking up on?
Yeah, I mean, I'll go back again, sort of where I started around what the philosophy of our approach has looked like in Roundel historically. And the fact that we've always thought about that full journey and giving brands opportunity to connect with guests when they're ready to discover a new brand, when they're looking for, a deeper connection with a brand they love, or when they're all the way down to making that final purchase. So we've always thought about that full funnel. And so I think in terms of breadth of offerings, from social to influencer to CTV to search to, you name it, we've got the formats and the platforms that I think brands are looking for. And then I think the lens towards curation matters. We have a philosophy within our organization where we're not just going to kind of slap something up wherever. Like we think very thoughtfully about the places and spaces where it makes sense for our brand to show up and for our partner brands to show up. So I think the combination of those two things, along with the scale of our audience offerings, are what kind of brings the magic to life.
And then you also mentioned your CTV offering, right? Bringing shoppable creative